Hi lovelies, and welcome back to this channel. If you're new here, my name is Belinda's channel. Don't forget to please subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications so that anytime I upload a video, you will be the first person to be notified. And to my returning subscribers, to those people that share my videos, leave commentaries, and also educate each and every one of us, you guys are the real MVP. Alright lovelies, let's dive in into today's video. So lovelies, I came across this video on my For You page on TikTok and I thought to share with you guys where this elderly black lady decided to come out to tell black people of the reason why they need to vote. She went ahead to share how in 1960s there was nothing like voting. Like, you are meant to pay a particular amount of money, $2, to be able to vote. And this got a lot of people reacting, and I was able to put out some of those stitches and some stitches, concerning the Civil Rights Act. I'm just going to roll the clip as well as the stitches I was able to put together. Please leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video, and please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We are just here for educational, historical and informative purposes. Alright lovelies, let's dive into it.
Black people in Mississippi had to pay $2 to vote. The white folks didn't pay nothing.
In what year? And what year was that?
That was 1960.
1960. And what are you about to do today?
I'm about to vote free. I got victory in my feet.
Yes, Lord. I know that. Let me see what victory in the feet looks like. That's the victory in the feet.
Now this video gave me mixed emotions, because on one hand it is a beautiful thing to see because she is so excited to be able to vote and she doesn't even have to pay for it this time around. Like, that is such a beautiful thing to see. But it also is sad when you think about the fact that there are black people right now who are disrespecting people like her. And all of our people during that time and before that fought for the right to vote. Not only did they have to fight, but when they did get that right, they had to pay for it. That is like a slap in the face to them. She said this was in the 1960s. We're in 2024. That's only a 64-year difference. We haven't come as far as we think we have. And it's just like Danny said, we got comfortable with our rights like they could not be taken away from us. And there's black folks running around here still acting like our rights cannot be taken from us. Hell, it's immigrants, the people in the LGBTQ community, women. Why do y'all think y'all rights can't be taken away from you? You're looking at someone like that lady who is excited. She knows what that means. You don't know what it means to vote. You don't know what it means to vote. But I just hope and pray. I really hope that y'all are really just full of SHIT and that you're just doing this for views and money and all this other stuff. I really hope that you make the right decision right now during early voting and on November 5th. Like, come on, y'all. There's too much at stake for y'all to still be out here playing like this. Like, ain't no way. Ain't no way. Come on, y'all.
I implore anybody who is black, I cannot stress this enough. If you are black and you are stepping out of not voting, please understand that people like her fought for the reason why we had to vote. Because they had to go through so much. And it fucking hurts that a lot of us are using other people's struggles to see moral superiority when not that long ago, because you heard what she said, 1960. That's not even 100 years ago. Had to go through that. And we are sitting up here acting like we actually have a choice. When it comes down to black people, we gotta vote every time. I don't give a fuck, small election, big election. As black people, because we had to fight for that right, we need to vote every fucking time.
Imagine how far we would be. Lillian's right to vote. They made a children's book on voting rights. What if you had to pass a test or answer impossible questions like how many bubbles are in a bar of soap before you were allowed to vote? Imagine being forced to pay a special tax before you could cast your ballot. How would it feel to be chased by an angry mob of people in your own town for just trying to vote? This is the story of Lillian's family and so many other African Americans who, after generations of discrimination, triumphed over injustice, thanks to a law that protected every American's right to vote. I'm going to just give you the highlights here. A very old woman stands at the bottom of a very steep hill, and it's voting day. This is incredible. If we had children's books like this when I was a kid, I would know so many more things that I am trying to show other people today. If I would have just had access to the information, I would have been able to be a whole person sooner than I became one. I'm still not whole, don't get me wrong, and I'm learning every single day. But I think it's important to understand that we have information now that we didn't have back then. There's full-on books about voting for children and how we got to where we are. Incredible. But wait, there's more.
Hi guys, this is Attorney Tay with Thinking with Tay. Given the current discussions centered around the Voting Rights Act of 1965, I wanted to share my thoughts with you. The Voting Rights Act is a landmark federal law signed by President Lyndon Johnson on August 6, 1965, in an effort to remove voting restrictions that were implemented by various states based on race, as well as to remove legal barriers at the state and local levels that effectively denied African Americans the right to vote, a right afforded to them under the 15th Amendment to the United States Constitution. The 15th Amendment was enacted in 1870 and in summary states that the right of the citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged, in other words, cut, reduced, or lessened by the United States or by any state on the basis of race, color, or previous condition of servitude, in other words, enslavement. However, despite the passing of the 15th Amendment, challenges with African Americans' efforts to vote ensued, and discriminatory policies and practices, including but not limited to poll taxes, literacy tests, among other Jim Crow laws, were implemented, as well as violence and intimidation by other citizens to impede African American citizens' efforts to vote. The Voting Rights Act banned literacy tests and other policies and practices used by states and local municipalities to disqualify African American voters in their attempts to vote. Despite the enactment of the Voting Rights Act, challenges still remain. For example, on June 25, 2013, in the Shelby County versus Holder case, the United States Supreme Court, in a 5-4 decision, struck down essential provisions of the Voting Rights Act, ruling that it was unconstitutional to require states with a history of voter discrimination based on race to seek federal approval or pre-clearance before changing their voter and or election laws and policies. As a result, a number of states passed new restrictions on voters, including but not limited to voter ID requirements. Some opponents conclude that these such restrictions result in voter suppression, which negates the purpose of the Voting Rights Act. And some proponents of the restrictions assert that such restrictions help to reduce voter fraud. What do you think about the Supreme Court's ruling to no longer require states with a history of voter discrimination to seek federal approval or pre-clearance to change its voting and or election laws and policies? Now remember, I'm not telling you what to think. I'm only asking you to think. Until next time, goodbye.
It's the 59th anniversary of the Voting Rights Act of 1965, so let's talk about what was actually in that law. Now, a year before, in 1964, President Lyndon Baines Johnson had signed into law the Civil Rights Act, which basically made Jim Crow segregation illegal, even though plenty of places still had it. Now, also in 1964, the 24th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution was passed, which barred the use of poll taxes in federal elections only, but Jim Crow voting restrictions remained, especially throughout the South. That included poll taxes for state and local elections, and literacy tests, which never tested literacy. They were just an excuse to keep people from voting, and registrars who just simply wouldn't register a person of color. So the original 1965 Voting Rights Act tries to tackle each of these Jim Crow voting restrictions. It outlaws literacy test, it outlaws poll taxes both on the state and local level, which of course they're already outlawed on the federal level, and it establishes that federal examiners who have the right to register voters can go into certain areas that have a pattern of discrimination determined by a formula in the law. That way, if a local registrar won't register you to vote, even though you're fully qualified, maybe because of the color of your skin, then these federal registrars can do that for you. Now, the 1965 Voting Rights Act also included something called pre-clearance, which was really important. The law included a formula to determine which areas had a pattern of discrimination, and if you were in one of those areas and you wanted to change your voting laws or practices, you had to get special permission to do so from the Department of Justice or a federal court. You had to show that those changes were not going to be discriminatory. And the law works. It basically restores democracy to the Deep South for the first time since the end of Reconstruction. The courts uphold it multiple times. They even strike down Virginia's poll tax because of that law. And we keep rolling. But the special provisions in the original Voting Rights Act were set to expire in 1970. They were only supposed to last 5 years initially. So Congress had to act in 1970, which brings us to the first of many renewals of the Voting Rights Act, which we'll get to in part 2.
Hey, you all. So, if you're not familiar with some of the events that led up to the Civil Rights Act of 1965, it was actually on this day that President Lyndon B. Johnson, in response to the Selma crisis, told the U.S. Congress, "We shall overcome," while advocating the Voting Rights Act in 1965. Here he is giving that speech before Congress. The Selma crisis began with Bloody Sunday in 1965, with the march across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, which resulted in police beatings and ended with 25,000 people entering Montgomery at the end of the last march to press for voting rights. This activism generated national attention for social justice and for the Civil Rights Act of 1965. The Voting Rights Act was a landmark piece of federal legislation in the United States that prohibited racial discrimination in voting. It was signed into law by President Lyndon Johnson during the height of the Civil Rights Movement on August 6th of 1965. Congress later amended the act 5 times to expand its protections. Designed to enforce the voting rights guaranteed by the 14th and 15th Amendments to the United States Constitution, this act sought to secure the right to vote for racial minorities throughout the country, especially in the South, where there were a lot of issues and protests taking place because of the Jim Crow laws that were still in place in that area during this time.
I seriously love this. You can actually pause the video, to read the comments at the section, These are actually the comments from the first video I stitched about this elderly, woman that talked about what really happened in 1960. They were not allowed to vote. And even if you are to vote, you are meant to pay $2 before you were allowed to vote as, a black person. And the funniest part of this whole thing is that all of these things are the history that they refused them to be taught in school. Towards the comments, you realize that a lot of people are so shocked to, come across this info. A lot of people are so shocked to the fact that they never knew this really happened. Oh my goodness, these people really did a lot. There were a lot. Why is it that these are not taught in school? Why is it so? They come with flimsy excuses of they don't want the little ones to feel some type of way. They don't want them to feel bad or trying to like being, oh, this is what really happened. Like, this is just something that was supposed to be known. Like, look at, just imagine you as a, black person. You are not allowed, you don't have the right to vote. Even if you want to, cast your vote or whatsoever, you know, you are meant to pay a particular amount of money. Like, it's not free for being someone that looks like me. It's not free for you to exercise your right. That is in 1960. That's about 64 years old today. 64 years old. And anytime something like this is brought up, or historical facts or factors are being brought up, a lot of people tend to talk about how, oh, this happened long ago. This is just something that happens 400 years back or 5,000 years back. But this is in 1960. A lot of people that looks like me were not allowed to vote. That's 64 years back. 64 years back. And people are making it look as if what really happened and the way at which they treated people that looks like me is something that happened, for a very long time, like thousands of years ago. Like, seriously, I was just going through my For You page on, Victor, just to look at what to bring up here for us to actually delegate and all of that. Like, came across this particular video of this elderly woman, and the way at which she's so happy. She's so happy to the fact that she's, going to curse her word free, like without paying a dime. Like, she's so happy. And I decided to put it up here because I am just seeing so many statues, a lot of people giving reasons why they don't want to vote anymore. This is why I don't vote and all of that. I know because, there have been some things that have been going on. Like, when you see things going on and you keep on voting or keep on thinking that you are doing the right thing, but at the end of the day, you are still being treated the way that you are still being treated, even after casting your vote. Like, I really understand from people's perspective of not wanting to vote anymore or don't want to vote anymore, But the thing is that there are some people that actually look like me, that fought their way out, that fought everything in their power in order to have that right to vote. And now that you have that right to vote, they're like, I don't want to vote. Like, it's just a personal thing. Like, everyone have his or her own right to vote or not to vote. But come to think of it, like, for her to be so happy to the fact that she's going to vote without paying anything, without anyone stopping her, like, it's as if she's being liberated. I was just watching her video and I was just imagining what really happened then. Just imagine that, okay, there is an election going on, and you, because of the way your color is, some people are voting and you are not voting. Like, you don't matter. Even if you vote or not, you are not important. Like, do you know how that makes someone feel? So for her to come here joyfully, even if I see that she's using crutches, like, it's just something that, like, wow. If she's so happy to do this, that means there is a reason why people fought for it. People fought for, for the right that you have right now. Like, it's so relieving that, people of our age still come out to spill what we are meant to know, or what that is not taught in school. But at least one way or the other, people our age is able to, like, give us some knowledge that we have been deprived of. Seriously, these people, like, they really hit a lot. When I was just reading a lot of comment in the comment section, people were like, well, why were we not taught this in school? I mean, this is the first time I'm hearing this. Like, I never knew that people have to pay money to vote. Like, I was like, wow. So that means there are a lot of people that are just finding it out. Seriously, there are a lot of people that is finding out that there was a period of time that even if you want to vote, you have to work for it. You have to pay for it before, you are allowed to go there. But the way at which she's so joyful about it, she's so smiley about it, it's actually make me like, wow, that means this is just like what we fought for is actually here, so we just have to do it. Seriously. Anyways, when I saw this video, I decided that I was just gonna put it up here because I have seen countless of videos of people that looks like me always talking about how, oh, what is the essence of voting? Even if you vote or not, they already know whom they want to put in the office and all of that. But what do we do? What do people have to do? It's just that I think that people just it's best people just do the right thing, like do what they feel that is right for them. Then I just leave the rest to Yahweh, like pray about it and all of that. But that does not mean that even if you don't want to, that it's just if it's gonna give you peace, that is cool. Nobody's forcing anyone. But it's just that I came across this video and I felt some type of wow, with all of the joy that comes with her trying to, like, oh my god, I decided to just put it up here. Anyway, lovelies, why not just leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video. And please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We're just here for educational and informative purposes. So if you've not subscribed to this channel up to this extent, please do get a huge favor to click on the subscription button, and I will see you lovelies when I upload the next one. Estelle, why not just leave me your own thought in the comment section of what you think of this video. And please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We are just here for educational purposes. So please share this video, subscribe if you're yet to do that, and I will see you lovelies when I upload the next one.